I hate you both. I've hated you ever since I can remember. I hate you, and I wish you both had cancer. Cancer? Yes, in the head.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Are you telling me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
This is the Stupid Cancer Show.
Uh-oh. Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Hello there, children.
Hey, kids.
People seem to like me because I am polite and I'm rarely late.
Don't worry, I got an idea.
And now, the host of the Stupid Cancer Show, Matthew Zach.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Because he has a lot of chutzpah.
All right.
Hello and welcome to episode 384 of the Stupid Cancer Show, the voice of young adult cancer. I'm your host, Matthew Zachary, a proud 20-year brain cancer survivor, coming to you now from the Chemo Deck, our fabulous studio in downtown Manhattan. Broadcasting since 2007, the Stupid Cancer Show is a production of Stupid Cancer, the largest charity comprehensively addressing young adult cancer online at stupidcancer.org.
I'm Kenny Kane, co-founder of Stupid Cancer, welcoming all of our first-time and returning listeners. Never miss an episode by subscribing to the podcast on iTunes and following us on SoundCloud.
It is not okay that 72,000 young adults are diagnosed with cancer each and every year. So, got cancer under 40? Sucks, huh? Time to get busy living, folks, because the Stupid Cancer Show is changing the world one chemo infusion at a time. It is our post-CancerCon 2016 wrap-up show. CancerCon improves patients' lives and has truly changed the world. We are joined by first-timer attendee Danny Heinsohn, who just celebrated his 10th year in remission from brain cancer by competing in the Ironman Canada. He recently founded My Hometown Heroes, a scholarship fund for young adults with cancer, and our survivorship spotlight on young adult survivor and fellow CancerCon attendee Bryan Walker. Man, what a conference. What a show this is going to be. Hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome, Team Stupid Cancer employees.
We're here. We're alive.
We are alive. We are alive. Wow. Yeah, Noel, this was your first CancerCon.
It was.
Impressions?
Absolutely incredible. Still trying to kind of take it all in, and what are we, a week after?
Yeah, it's barely a week. Think about it. It's Monday. We flew back a week ago.
Now the reflection posts come out.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's been a big deal. No, for what it's worth, I mean, people came up to me saying, "Who's Noel? He's amazing." You know, not like who's Noel, like how dare you not know, you know, but like you shined.
Thank you.
For what it's worth, you did great. I didn't personally watch you do great, but I heard you did great.
Thank you.
And,
I personally watched him do great.
I know you did, Kenny.
Good things. And Mel, this is your second.
Yes, it was my second.
And
it happened.
Yeah.
It was as amazing as I remembered last year being. In some ways, even more so because I wasn't on crutches, which is always nice.
I didn't want to say it.
Yeah, no crutches, which is good. But I thought it was excellent. I thought everything went really well. There was a lot of exciting stuff from the governor to Andrew to all the plenaries and breakouts. It was just, there was some weather, but it was still spectacular.
And that didn't really stop the Hard Rock incident.
Oh, no. The Hard Rock was rocking. It was great.
For those listening that were not able to attend, we had our first-timer welcome reception on Thursday night.
Our pre-con mixer.
Pre-con mixer, thank you. And 300 and some odd plus people came out.
They had to shut the Hard Rock down. There were too many of us, and we were just too awesome.
It was amazing.
It was fantastic.
I'm glad I made it over there.
And there was karaoke, which makes my soul soar.
That karaoke was good stuff.
It was spectacular.
So, Kenny, this is your last CancerCon. Actually, I should say with an asterisk. your last CancerCon as an employee
That
of
is
Stupid
true.
Cancer. You will be back next year because you are staying in our universe.
I am.
But formal mic drop announcement yesterday on social. Kenny announced his 6.5-year bromance tenure with me here at Stupid Cancer is coming to a close.
Tears were shed.
Yes, it was difficult, and I hate you for making me cry in front of my wife and children. But at the end of the day, we are very happy for you, and you found your true calling, men's testicles.
Yep. You know, it's been a secret passion of mine for a long time.
Ever since your dad wanged his.
Oh, God. Yeah, so I'll be moving to Austin at the end of the month and taking the role of executive director of the Testicular Cancer Foundation online at testicularcancer.org.
And what do they do?
They provide awareness and support for young adults, young men, 15 to 35, who are at risk of being diagnosed. So the goal is to end late-stage diagnosis by increasing awareness
and early detection.
Yep, making sure guys know how to check themselves properly, which is best done in the shower. And yeah, I'm looking forward to expanding and growing the organization.
And living in a city where your house will cost less than your apartment to rent.
Yes, this is also true. There is a cost of living adjustment that
in
is
your benefit.
That is overwhelmingly amazing.
Yeah. Well, we're very happy for you. You did build an empire. You're clearly not going away, and we know that. And ever since you adopted my children as your godfather, my wife will never let you truly go away either.
Exactly.
So you're at her mercy, not mine, which is much worse than my mercy.
Right. Well, I'm aware of that.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a big news drop right there. But let's talk about the road trip, your final road trip.
It was.
Until it comes to Austin next year.
Right. It was great. We stepped into... personally, what was our 50th state each, which was Alaska. John has been to Hawaii. I've been to Hawaii and Florida. So Hawaii and Florida are technically the only states that the road trip hadn't been in. But it was great to be able to spread the word of Stupid Cancer in all 50 states, since I had gone to Hawaii over the summer last year and spoke at their first ever Young Adult Cancer Conference, and had a great turnout. Anchorage came out in force. It's amazing. I think it speaks to the fact that support is desperately needed in places where it's got the least. And I think Anchorage is definitely an example of that versus Chicago, which was not the best turnout. But again, just the difference in major city versus smaller city. And there's so much work still to be done.
Yeah, I look at the vehicles you've driven over the past 5 years. You went from a Beetle Turbo,
yep,
to a Chevy Volt.
That's right.
To a Dodge Charger.
Yep.
To a sort of flaccid by comparison Chevy Tahoe.
Well, that was the LTZ.
Yeah. Oh, it was. So you had the V8.
It boogied.
Okay. And to a Camaro SS hyperdrive Star Trek vehicle.
It was great. I actually split a pair of jeans getting into it. And then 30 miles down the road, there was a Levi's store, which was excellent. So serendipity there. No, the trip was great. Thanks Chevy, Walgreens, CL Genetics, Takeda Oncology, Lilly, everybody who has sponsored us over the years and come out to the events. It has been truly remarkable, and there's just no other way to describe it other than that. And seeing is believing, and being there for the moments when it's late at night or we're driving long distances, and it's great to be able to see people in their home turf and then see them again at CancerCon, because that's one of the other benefits. Everybody is so excited that they're going to CancerCon, and then we stop in their hometown, and it's just this whole month of a lot of fun.
That was a big deal, and we threw up all the webisodes and the mashup on Vimeo, vimeo.com/stupidcancer. There's a whole channel just for the road trip this year, and we're very excited. John Sabier, special shout out to your buddy there.
Yep.
And did a great job. Really good stuff.
He did.
And the CancerCon video, also which John crunched on site, which was astounding.
Made me cry.
It was totally amazing.
It's better every year.
It wasn't better because that implies it wasn't good last year. It was it got so differently engaging and amazing.
It was a new level.
And it was very different. So you can check that out also at vimeo.com/stupidcancer. We also mic dropped the CancerCon 2017, will also be in Denver the same weekend at the Sheraton downtown Denver. And the CancerCon.org website will very soon be updated to reflect that. There will be a new newsletter sign up to get alerts on what's going on and to connect on social. Really exciting stuff. Amazing. So, Mallory, your immediate takeaways, having done 2 of these now.
I'm still processing.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever be done processing, but I think all in all, it was an incredibly successful weekend and things were spectacular. And but good things happen when you put 600 people in a room.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, congrats to all, and thanks for those who came. And we will be throwing up some Enduring Media on the web later this month. For those who couldn't attend, can actually watch some of the workshops and sessions that were done. And we hope to do the entire conference, at least the public parts of the entire conference for next year.
Excellent.
So that no one misses out on what they need to learn and experience and make it available to everyone. So with that, let's get our first guest, a CancerCon attendee, Bryan Walker. In our Survivor Spotlight, Bryan Walker, first-time CancerCon attendee, 26-year-old stage 3B Hodgkin's lymphoma survivor who started to understand the positives and the negatives. We're really excited to have him on the show. Please welcome the one and only Bryan Walker. Hello, sir.
Thank you.
Where are you calling in from?
Pensacola, Florida.
So basically the opposite of the weather you had in Denver at CancerCon.
Yes, sir. Complete 85-degree weather, no snow.
Had you ever seen snow before?
Yes. Once or twice, not a lot.
Got it. Yeah, always a surprise for the southern folks to come out to Denver when it snows. So we're happy to introduce you to weather.
Well, thank you.
I got to tell you, I was really excited to read your post. You can never quite get used to the outpouring of what the hell just happened social media narratives from our attendees, but yours was amazing, and I was hoping we could learn more about your story. Stage 3B Hodgkin's lymphoma, 26 years old. That sucks.
Yeah.
Would you be, hopefully, you can share with us what your life was like prior to. Where were you in your life, and how did this all happen? How did you find out?
Okay. Well, diagnosed at 25. I was living in Knoxville, Tennessee at the time, Gatlinburg, Tennessee. I was working for a distillery at that time, selling alcohol. I was misdiagnosed 2 different times by 2 different doctors as I had bronchitis and then chronic bronchitis 2 months later. And finally, one night, my roommate just told me I had to go see somebody at the doctor. I had to go to the emergency room. Also, I was working in school, working on my master's at the time. I had just started school back working on my master's. So 11:30 at night on November 8th, my story started, and it has not ended since then. So I completely moved home to Birmingham, Alabama. That's where my mother and father were living. I moved there for a year, where I started treatments in December to May 17th, which actually be this coming Friday. May 13th, I apologize, will be my 1 year post chemo. So I am excited to get to that date. I didn't think I was going to see that at one point in time.
So how long was it between your being told you actually have cancer and when your treatment started?
About 1 month. The reason why is UAB requires you to have a certain percentage confirmation of cancer. So I was at the 89% Hodgkin's lymphoma. I needed to be at the 92%, if I'm not mistaken, diagnosed 100%, 92% Hodgkin's lymphoma before they would accept me. So it took about, I had to do 2 different sets of biopsies just to ensure that everything was done properly and I could get in.
So you know this from attending the conference and by just being in the club that no one wants to belong to, that fertility is a key issue in our demographic that tends to get ignored. Was that brought to your attention?
Yes, it was, and it was brought in very quickly. I actually had to see a couple of specialists on many different occasions to see if we could possibly save the children, as I would say.
Save the children. That's a really great way to repurpose that charity.
Yeah.
I like it. So how did you find out about CancerCon?
Okay. My patient navigator at UAB, they give everyone a patient navigator. And actually last year, going through chemo, I came last year. She was the one that told me, like, hey, you really need to get out of the house. This would be a wonderful event for you to go. And I started doing some research, and I ended up finding about stupid cancer and the wonderful things y'all are doing. So last year was my first one that I decided to come to. And this year was my second one that I made sure I attended as well.
So that speaks volumes to me. You had a patient navigator helping you at the hospital. That is something that we don't hear a lot about, and we work very closely with nurse navigators and patient navigator groups, and they tend to be few and far between. I can only assume that it came in really handy.
Yes. Yes, she is a wonderful lady. She helped me out. She was the one that kept me on my toes. She kept me informed on a lot of different things in the cancer world that I could try to be involved in. And I thank her a lot for that. She was, like I said, she was the one that was a driving force to get me to CancerCon last year. And so she's been wonderful through the whole process.
So you've now experienced this event. So wait, was CancerCon last year your first jump into the young adult cancer support world?
Yes, yes.
Now that's
and I was at the end of chemo last year when I came. I had 2 more treatments.
That's a deep dive. That's like going from 0 to 100 in 10 seconds. How was that for you?
Very emotional. I had to leave a couple of sessions because I had to gather myself. I really was thankful that I was able to be exposed to it because it helped save my life, and it introduced a couple of friends of mine who I'm really close to now.
So, returning champion for this year, you had a whole year to plan and prepare yourself for another highly emotional engagement. What was your experience like this year, and how did it differ?
Well, last year I was going through as a cancer patient, so I did not, I was at that stage in my life. This year I wanted to come back and to solidify everything that I learned last year, just to ensure that I was still doing the correct things almost. And also I wanted to come. I had a couple of friends of mine who were going through the cancer world as well, whose first time was this time, and I got them to come along with me. So it was a fun experience to bring more people into it. This year was a little bit different because I got to see things from the outside. So I felt like I was more of a mentor than an actual patient this year. So that was kind of interesting.
So would you be willing to share with us some of your high points? I mean, they were probably all high points, but what were some of your favorite things that happened this year? And you can say karaoke because that's everyone's answer.
Yes. Karaoke was amazing. We didn't get to do the baseball game this year, but that's okay. Karaoke was amazing. 2 breakout sessions that I absolutely loved. That the reason why I decided to come back was the Just for Guys hour-long meeting that we had with those, and then also the one of the speaking, learning how to give your message away. I can't think of the name of it, but that one was amazing as well.
So again, and for those again that weren't able to attend, we typically have a game with the Rockies, but it snowed and the Rockies canceled the game. So we got our money back, which is good. But it was just another great experience that could have made it even cooler. But again, karaoke won the conference to begin with, so we can own that. So I want to read your Facebook post on the air if that's okay with you. Because it's like public domain and everyone in the world kind of read it. But in the spirit of how we as the staff have to step away from the conference a little bit to run it, but then to see that it isn't just a cool thing to have, it truly does change people's lives, and it helps them be better stewards and citizens and activists and advocates. You wrote the following at the closing of CancerCon. And our board chair, Thea Linscott, actually read this because you wrote it at the conference during the closing ceremonies. So
Right.
Today, it's time to end my journey with my second family. Family isn't always blood. It's the people in your life who want you in theirs. The ones who accept you for who you are. The ones who would do anything to see you smile and who love you no matter what. The conference has changed my mind, body, and soul in a short time. CancerCon, I'm out. I pray everyone continues to be a vessel for the young adult cancer world, and we will fight to save at least one life. Seriously powerful stuff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So how can
and
we...
the interesting... Okay.
No, go ahead. Follow up.
Okay. The interesting point was I was actually on my flight out when I wrote that because I had to be at the airport by 2 o'clock. So I wasn't able to be there at the closing ceremony due to I had to get back home for some stuff to happen that night. So I wrote that and didn't think it was going to get as much spotlight as it did.
Well, it did. And it kind of shut down closing ceremonies for a few minutes as everyone really tried to process it. And I'm fairly certain it did inspire other people to write very similar, incredibly heartwarming posts.
Yeah.
So
that's wonderful. That is the intention. That is what to me that is what CancerCon is about, is to get people to love themselves again and to figure out what is on the other side with life.
And that to me, as the founder of the organization, and to see the conference germinate over the past 9 years, this is our 17th event, is that you came the first year as a customer. You needed the help. And that you came the second year as an ambassador and an advocate to help people just like you and to be a part of the brand experience. That is so important for us to acknowledge and reflect on, and that you are now an empowered, superhuman for the young adult cancer world. How can we help you? What is your goal? What is your vision? Whether it's UAB, which we'd love to have a relationship with, or right there in your home city in Florida.
The one thing I wish is just to keep growing, to get as many people as involved as we can. It is one beautiful thing when, we can get 600 people who, do not know each other can come together for a weekend. And now, we are family for the rest of our lives. I just so happened the other day, I was in Walmart. I had my CancerCon shirt on in Walmart. And I met a young lady who was currently going through chemo treatments. And I talked to her for 45 minutes. 30 of which she probably didn't want to talk to me about, but I talked to her for that. I talked to her for that long about what to look for and through the cancer itself and what the conference can bring. So as long as we continue going down the same path, and the reason why I say we, because I feel like I'm a part of it now, is that we continue to grow and touch as many lives as we can.
Well, again, that again speaks incredible volumes. I want to touch on the fact that you just completed your master's in health administration.
Yes, sir.
That's a big deal too. And you were pursuing this before you got sick as well, or was this always your career trajectory?
Yes, sir. I was about 6 months into the program when I was diagnosed, and I took 4 months out of school just to go ahead and get the chemo process started, and I decided that I needed to get back into school. I did not allow chemo to stop my life or cancer to stop my life any longer. So I started school back full load and tried to knock out school as quickly as possible.
Well, so you're now working as a healthcare recruiter. So not only are you preaching and walking the walk, you're actively helping people seek care.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Which is a little different because I'm on the other side of things. So, I'm bringing in nurses and trying to get them placed into places that I feel that they can be a fit for. So it is wonderful to be able to be on the grassroots level of trying to provide care for patients.
So you have no kids, you live on the beach, and you love tacos. I think those are my favorite parts of your story.
Yes, sir. Yes, and vodka.
Oh, come on. Then you should work for me. Let's come up to New York. Good stuff. And you wrote some really compelling things. Your key points again, and it talks all about, it speaks to who you are, self-esteem and self-love, enjoying the process of chemo, words that have never really maybe been strung together before, working post-treatment and using social media as an outlet, which you clearly have done. Was that something that came naturally to you when you were originally diagnosed? You went right to the web to vent or to share?
Yes. My story was a little different. I went to the web because a bunch of people started talking and rumors started spreading that I was on my deathbed and I was going to die. So that's the reason when I started the Facebook post process, just to allow everyone to stay up to date, but I didn't want them coming to see me. I didn't want people to see me sick. I didn't want them to see me down. So I used Facebook to kind of help me to be my self-motivation and self-therapy.
Well, so what are we always ask this question, if you were to, and you are, meeting like this person in Walmart, what's your message? What do you want people to know about your story and what they can learn from your experiences?
Two things. I always tell people, especially the ones that are going through the process, is to enjoy the process. And everyone always looks at me a little weird when I say that. But, in life, in order to get the end result, you have to enjoy the process. You have to enjoy the nights of throwing up. You have to enjoy the 3 a.m. rollovers, when you can't sleep. And by enjoy, I mean remember it and soak it all in, because at the end of the day, it gets better. And when and life is so much now. I smile all the time now at work, and people are like, you're stressed. Why are you smiling? And it is because I've been to a low point, and I was able to live in it and thrive in it. And now I'm in a high point, so I love life a little bit more.
Well, Bryan, I can't thank you enough for. This is just an emotional outpouring of humanity. It's been amazing, and I really hope we get to see you again next year at CancerCon. I can only imagine you're definitely coming back, and we want to work with you to empower your community. I would love to have Mallory connect with you, and let's get UAB on our roadmap so we can get more patients to come out from the South. And the fact that you had a navigator is amazing to us. We don't hear those stories a lot. So getting in touch with the team that helps people like you really find resources is incredibly critical to us, ensuring that no one goes unaware of what they're entitled to know about. And I can't thank them enough for helping us find you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much, and I'll definitely be in contact so we can get that information out.
All right, Bryan Walker, 26-year-old stage 3B Hodgkin's lymphoma survivor. No kids, lives on the beach, loves tacos. CancerCon, returning champion, and we'll see you next year at 2017. Bryan Walker, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mal, and now the news.
Hello, I'm Kent Brockman, and this is Eye on Cancer.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Head on over to events.stupidcancer.org. That's events.stupidcancer.org. Sign up for meetup alerts and never miss a meetup again. If you'd like to learn more about hosting your own Stupid Cancer meetup, visit stupidcancer.org/meetup. Okay, there are events happening in Houston, Texas, and Baton Rouge.
Very nice. No one should face cancer alone because isolation sucks. Download Instapeer for iPhone, iPad, and Android. Create your account and instantly start chatting with someone just like you who's been there and walked in your shoes. Join our community of thousands of cancer patients, survivors, and caregivers around the world right now on your mobile device. Instapeer.
We've launched a newsfeed aggregator on Tumblr for all the articles, blogs, and stories we couldn't possibly have time to post on social media. Check out what we're reading 24/7 and don't miss a beat. Subscribe at stupidcancer.org/feed.
For young adults, clinical trials are a red-hot mess. So, we're throwing our hat in the ring to make some sense of the madness. Introducing I Am Not a Trial. Real young adults, real faces, and real stories plucked straight from our own community. Watch the entire video series right now at IamNotATrial.com.
Support our programs and services by heading over to stupidcancerstore.org. You'll feel great and look great in new Stupid Cancer gear. That's stupidcancerstore.org. Be proud, wear Stupid Cancer.
And that is your Stupid Cancer News. In our main segment, Danny Heinsohn celebrated his 10th year of remission from brain cancer by competing in Ironman Canada, just what I did, and founded My Hometown Heroes, a scholarship fund for young adult cancer survivors. Heinsohn is an endurance athlete, sports business professional, keynote speaker, sales coach, author, and philanthropist, and first-time CancerCon attendee. He wrote an extraordinary recap on LinkedIn, and he's joining us right now here on the Stupid Cancer Show. Please welcome Danny Heinsohn. Hello, Danny. Thank you for joining us. Yes, so this is amazing, and this whole show is our sort of our what the hell just happened in Denver recap, show, and we typically are aware of the post social media phenomenon of what the hell just happened to me, everything's different and wonderful, but I don't think we can ever really be prepared at the outpouring of content that spills out to the internet afterwards. And your LinkedIn was just amazing, and it caught our eye, and we just had to get you on the show to talk about your life. I'm always partial to brain cancer folks. That's my camp right there. And, your LinkedIn profile in and of itself is so much more than just cancer survivor. There's so much we want to talk about right now with you, but I was hoping you could just talk about, diagnosed at 23. I was diagnosed at 21. Kind of sucks. What were you doing at the time?
Prior to diagnosis?
Yes.
I was a college student. Getting prepared to graduate, and I was going to be going on a 2.5-month backpacking trip with my best friends. And, I had built my resume. This is like in the late 90s, and had aspirations to become an electrical engineer. And then about 8 days before college graduation, woke up with a headache, just like we all talk about being a young adult at the age of 23, we're indestructible. So, okay, this thing's going to blow over the next morning. And so Monday morning I wake up, I still have a headache, not really thinking too much about it. I take the last final of my undergraduate career. Tuesday evening I'm running the base pass in a softball game, and it just feels like there's this river rock just pounding in my head. So the next day, this is like a week before I'm supposed to leave for Europe. So the next day I, schedule a couple appointments, get a couple second opinions, and I'm told, it's, stress of finals, anxiety to graduate, and you're excited to go to Europe. So here's prescriptions, call us back, the routine. Saturday was actually the best I felt all week. Sunday I graduated. Headaches were still lingering. Monday morning I wake up. Headaches are worse than ever. So my dad takes me to the ER room, and after 2.5 hours of testing, I meet my dad in the waiting room, and he says, stands up, and it says, it doesn't look like you're going to Europe. Doctors think you have a tumor. That's when it all began.
That is when it all began. I should clarify that you are actually 16 years cancer-free, but you celebrated 10 years, obviously math, in 2010. I want to talk about how, and we touched on this with the environment panel, and we can talk about your takeaways from the conference. Cancer doesn't discriminate regardless of how healthy you are as a young adult or your behavior. And, there's really no early detection or screenings for our cancers. And we've had, just the people in the peak of their lives in perfect health, and vegans and vegetarians on the show. Were you at all beyond the regular anger of what the hell is this? Just like, I did everything right. Why?
Mm-hmm. You know, in retrospect, in hindsight, like looking back, I actually published a book in 2014 about, 4 different aspects of, why I might have gotten cancer. Was it the water? Was it the food? Was it the cafeteria food? All the, the fruit cocktails saturated in corn syrup? Was it the lifestyle? I wasn't a smoker, but back in the late 1990s in the state of Nevada, you were allowed to smoke in nightclubs and everything. So, maybe that was part of it, or maybe it was partially genetics as well. So, I've listened to past Stupid Cancer podcasts, and, the questions always come up that, everything is going right. And you're absolutely right. Cancer doesn't discriminate, who it afflicts. And it was just a shock to our entire family as it was to me. And, at that age, it's just like, you want to live your life, but then it's like, oh crap, I got something going on. And with my case in particular, I had primary central nervous system lymphoma, a type of cancer that originates in the brain with a median survival rate of 5 years or so. It was told at the time, but nobody ever mentioned that lymphoma was cancer. So after 3 craniotomies, removal of a racquetball-sized tumor, massive seizure complications, losing my ability to write, to type on the keyboard, play musical instruments, finally have the 3rd craniotomy, and I go to see my oncologist here in Reno, and I go, so what is that, cancer? And he just takes a couple steps back, and he nods his head. It's like, oh, okay, so I got cancer, and I got brain cancer. I hope that answers your question.
No,
I think.
Always a fun club to belong to. It's how do you mess with the grand noodle? And we were very open about it. It's not a contest, but it is the grand noodle, and it's kind of tough to manage that. And I'm sure you noticed we had a lot of brain cancer patients and survivors at the conference. It is one of the larger patient groups next to blood cancers and breast cancers that we get. And I mean, we look back at how blessed we are coming out as relatively unscathed as we may perceive to be. Can you shine a light on any long-term effects or that you've been dealing with?
Yeah, I mean, especially the years that I came out of it, because of the seizure complications, it really massively affected my cognitive skills, ability to retain and to extract information. So when I was going through my year of chemotherapy, taking my neuropsychological exams, I tended to rank particularly high, like on the visual spacing, but in terms of like auditory and feedback, like us having a conversation, you asking me questions, it would be very, very difficult for me to process. And, after chemotherapy, so I graduated in 1999, Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering. At the time, it was like the hottest career on the market. So after chemotherapy and then, trying to recover, getting back into the swing of life and trying to get back into a career, the dot-com boom had busted and we were in a recession. So not only was I recovering from all the ramifications that come after cancer and then, post-traumatic stress disorder, but there were no jobs. The only way to get a job in my particular field was to have, 5 years of practical experience, and I had none, and I was obviously struggling from a cognitive standpoint, and it was an extremely isolating and lonely time, and I did make a couple connections and a couple really good friendships during my journey who were also cancer patients, and unfortunately, they didn't make it, and it just infuriated me even more. Just like this sucks, man. I gotta, like you guys say, get busy living. It's like, and that was one of the toughest things, was getting busy living. Like, how do I get back into the swing of things? My degree is no longer relevant. And there are 2 things that actually kind of pulled me out of the abyss. And the first one was team in training for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. They raise millions of dollars every year for, by training for marathons, triathlons, so on and so forth. And I was an honored patient while I was going through my ordeal. And about 11 months after my last treatment, the cycling coach, he invited me to their kickoff party on a Wednesday because everybody had done all their training and raised all the money. He says, why don't you come on down to my shop and pick out a bike, and you can come ride with us around Lake Tahoe that day. Well, someone who mountain biked a lot in college, I had some base fitness, but obviously no condition to ride 72 miles around the Lake Tahoe basin.
Right.
But I got on that bike, and I've been going through this repetitive vicious cycle in my head. Just like, I got to get on with my life. I want to go to Europe, and because of the complications after chemotherapy, it wasn't a very smart idea. So there was a point where I just kind of had to let go of Europe and kind of start my life over again. But this bike ride was the ultimate game changer for me. So get up in the morning, get on the bike, start riding. The first rest stop is Emerald Bay. It's about 12 miles into the ride. And I remember the sun rising over Tahoe that morning was like the most beautiful spectacle I'd ever seen. And I knew that something was special in store, this particular day. Then I get out to Homewood, so 25 miles into the ride. Well, if I go back to the hotel, that's 50 miles, and then I'm back to an ordinary day.
Right.
So I was able to catch up with Dan at mile 25, and he's like, I'm doing a double century next week. I'm just gonna hang with you. So we get to Kings Beach. We're about 40 miles into the ride, and I'd never run this far in my entire life, and I was completely just sapped out of energy. And we still had roughly 30 miles to go. Well, from Kings Beach to the next rest stop is Spooner Summit, about 800-foot climb. Get to the top of Spooner, and I'm really like completely out of gas. And then we go down this hill, and I'm thinking, God, psychologically it's all downhill from here, but it's not. It's a series of rolling hills. And then finally we're about 5 miles to completing the revolution around the lake. And I'm like, damn, man, this is killing me. I just don't have anything left in the tank. But, he said, what, this is for you. We're gonna wait here as long as we need to for you to rest and recover. We're gonna finish this ride. So growing up in the Reno Tahoe area, like going to like camp as a kid, I always remember these tennis courts before finishing the drive around Lake Tahoe. And once I got to those tennis courts and I saw downtown South Tahoe, I knew I'd finished the ride, and I just like erupted in this like emotional tidal wave. And it was at that time when I finished that ride, I knew what my mission was, and it was, largely inspired by Lance Armstrong. He finished his tour in 1999, and when he finished the Tour de France, he says to the media, if you ever have a second chance in life to do anything, you have to go all the way. So I made it my mission the next year to actually join the team in training, to do all the fundraising. And that was really like the cornerstone that really got me busy living.
Again, it's amazing how we always like success stories, and you've clearly rapidly, rebuilt and regained your passion for everything you're doing. I love that you are a business guy in a sense. You work in talent management. You've done some sports relations, and you came to our event. You've known of Stupid Cancer for a while, but this is your first CancerCon. What was the catalyst? Because you did drive 1,100 miles from Reno to Denver to get there.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was never, as I mentioned in my blog, there wasn't ever a community, back when I was going through my ordeal. And obviously the internet had come a long ways, from 2000 to 2010. And it still took me, even after 2010, I think I found you guys in like 2011, until like search engines were able to find you guys. And it was year 10 that I celebrated my 10th year remission, did Ironman Canada to start my foundation. So for me, it was actually reuniting with like a family that I never had, a family that I wish I had back in 2000 when I finished chemotherapy to help me navigate through the depression, the anxiety, someone to talk to. And, as you were diagnosed, a couple of years before I was, and, it was your primary reason for starting Stupid Cancer was to help, unify this community. So for me, just reconnecting or just connecting with everybody was extremely humbling. And, coming from a business standpoint, before CancerCon, it's always about building business and everything. But, CancerCon, it's just like, boom, it's like you're like instant family. And, it just kind of like sucked me in. And like a lot of the connections that I made were with a lot of young adults who were just out of their treatment for a couple of years. And, it was just great to meet everybody. It was phenomenal.
One of the most intriguing, I guess, anthropologic aspects of CancerCon for me is how the folks who've been out of it for 5-10 years wind up realizing here's a community that they didn't know they needed, and join us as activists without the direct emotional connection to needing help. Now you're not coming in as a customer of Stupid Cancer; you're coming in as an advocate for young adults, and you attended on behalf of people who needed you and needed to know that you were there for them. I just want to read in your LinkedIn post, you had 3 observations of your experience, and I want to talk about what your big takeaways were as literally jumping deep end of the pool, first-timer into our brand experience. That this is a group motivated by purpose and empowerment. We view setbacks as opportunities to grow and inspire, hands down. We are heavily influenced by musicians. Yes, we have a tremendous... The actual backbone of the brand was built on my personal experience meeting other young adult survivor musicians. Talk about a niche market there. And they helped me build the basis of this through arts and culture and personal expression. And, we want to have a talent show next year. That was the big call to action. It's like, I want to do this next year. So combining karaoke with a talent show is something that I think would just explode all of Denver, and we're very excited for that. And then finally, the vast majority of our community is millennials. I was excited to see that we did really skew a lot younger this year. I think our bell curve median fell to like maybe 25, which is a big deal for us. And that, you're right, corporations need to consider that we are an extremely active patient community that just needs to live our lives, and we want to get busy living, and that you're right, we don't mess around about any of this stuff, and we're fervent about that. What was your takeaway, if you would, and then if you would share with us some of the immediate points of your experience there?
Yeah, obviously after cancer, you realize that life is short and you have to make the best of what you have. So going back to that first bullet point, it's having this infrastructure of support with CancerCon. It actually gives us a platform to express ourselves as survivors, and to express ourselves that we do have a right to live our lives and to make the best with the time that we have. So I think that's just by default right there. With the musicians, music was actually what was the main crutch that got me through my time of chemotherapy. Incubus is one of my favorite bands. They came out with the album Make Yourself in 1999. It was kind of like my anthem going through the ordeal, and the album was called Make Yourself. And just with Andrew and yourself and Angel Reynoso, or Angel Ray of Light, just having those guys on stage, just all you guys are extremely talented, and music just touches the soul and inspires in ways that are so intangible, in ways that you can't describe. And that is a huge component, I think, to coping and healing, both during and after cancer. And obviously with the millennial generation, I haven't actually had to look for a job in the past 13 years. And I guess you and I kind of are on that borderline between millennial and what is our generation, like Gen X or something.
Oh, I am in the Gen X is like 68 to 80. So I'm 74. I'm literally dead smack Gen X.
Okay. Well, so I'm 76, so I'm right there with you.
Yeah. So in our remaining couple of minutes, I want to talk about how you're choosing to give back now to the young adult cancer world by your new charity called My Hometown Heroes, which solves the obvious elephant in the room, which is debt from medical bills and how much it costs to ideally have your life saved, which is unethical and immoral, and it's the devil we got in this country. But talk to us about what motivated you to, to get that off the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, during my time with Leukemia Lymphoma Society for Team in Training, I had raised about $125,000 for LLS during that time of 6 years. And 2009, since I've been involved in the sports industry for all this time, a good friend of mine, his name is Bonner Paddock. He's the first person with cerebral palsy to ever summit Mount Kilimanjaro. And he made an announcement at the conference that year that he wanted to raise $1 million for kids with disabilities. Well, being 2009, the eve of my 10th year remission, I was like super inspired. So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to raise $10,000 for something. So a bunch of friends of mine got together, and one of them said, well, why don't you start a scholarship fund? So I used my training for Ironman Canada to raise that initial funding of $10,000 to celebrate the decade milestone. And it was really, to start out, just a celebration of 10 years, and we awarded our first recipient in 2011. We brought her out to an Aces game, and she threw the first pitch. We cut her a check, bought tickets for her entire family. And, and then in 2012 came around, and I started getting more of the data about, the statistics. Over 70,000 young adults diagnosed every year. I guess depending on which resource you reference, the average student debt's anywhere between $24,000 to $40,000. And then, about roughly 65% of high school graduates will attend college. So when you crunch the numbers, that's over $1 billion in student debt every year just among this population alone. So it's like, well, crap, we've awarded 26 scholarships since 2011, and I actually just left my corporate job back in October so I can put a more aggressive effort towards raising money for these kids. So I just said to them, okay, I'm gonna work towards awarding $1 million in scholarships to this population. And what I've learned over the years is this isn't just scholarship money. This is giving them a sense of like inclusion, that they're being recognized, they've gone through cancer, but, regardless of the amounts, we've given anywhere between $1,000 and $5,000. And even if it's just $1,000, it's just like, wow, somebody is actually understands what I went through. So, you only live once, and my goal right now is to scale the foundation to award $1 million in scholarships by 2020, and bringing along as many people as we can.
It's interesting because over the last 9 years running the company, the number one consistent request we get, either via email or phone or a customer service platform or even on site, is, do you offer financial assistance? And while there are numerous nonprofits in our space that do and we don't, there's regrettably no short supply of demand and no short demand of supply. And the health economic data around student debt in general is horrible. But when you start to factor in cancer with student debt for the millennials and the sub-millennials and the high school students trying to get into college, and discrimination against pre-existing condition, which is technically illegal but happens all the time when you're applying for things because your social media footprint speaks louder than your resume and your SAT scores, this is our call to action. This is why we matter, and I can't think of a better person to engage with on the leadership level about helping to solve some of those challenges than you, as the officially Kool-Aid drinking human being of the stupid cancer universe. What and by the way, I haven't been to Reno. It was like that Chevy Chase vacation with the station wagon that my family did in 1980. We went to Reno. We rented a boat on Lake Tahoe, and I remember there's some street in Reno that is the border between California and Nevada that we just enjoyed jumping across and saying that we're in different states. So that's my fond memory of Reno.
There you go.
So this is incredibly aspirational, and it is definitely a need that I don't have no interest in stepping into because it's incredibly nuanced and difficult, not our wheelhouse. I commend you for doing that. What's your takeaway in terms of, like, you met so many people at the conference who are in need? What did you learn? What was your big, how I can plug in immediately to this community? Like, what part of CancerCon did you take home to Reno?
Well, one of the things that I took back from Reno was, I don't know if you know Amy Nestler, but she's actually from Reno. She attended CancerCon, and I had no idea that she was there, let alone that she was from Reno, and I connected with her. That's a good question. Because of my past experience in business development and corporate sponsorship, working with the New York Yankees, Baltimore Ravens, Under Armour, so on and so forth, I think I have a perspective from the professional level on, in working with these clients in the world of experiential marketing that, I can, maybe act as a mentor or, whatever I can do to kind of help these kids find opportunities, because my opportunity to get this corporate position really came from a passion, and that was music. So when I finished my year of chemotherapy, I got back into the gym. I started taking spinning classes, and I was like, this is awesome. I could play my own music. I can exercise. I can motivate people, and I get paid on top of it. So the first thing that I wanted to do when I finished chemotherapy was become a spinning instructor. Well, I guess the thing that I want to be able to share is to always follow your passion, because with this passion of music and this cycling, I met the owner of a startup company that I ended up working with for 13 years, and he's like, dude, man, you play kick-ass music. You should just take over this class. We had the same mutual favorite musicians, and he was just starting up his company. I was just about to move out of Reno, and he said, man, I need someone to help me out, to help grow the business. So that was like a huge opportunity for me, because I have an opportunity to work in an industry that I could work with my favorite artists. And I think the thing that we should encourage other young adult survivors is to always follow your passion, because no matter how crappy life gets, you can always go back to your passion, whether it's listening to music, and that'll help keep you grounded and inspired to keep going.
Danny Heinsohn, 16-year brain cancer survivor from Reno, celebrated his 10-year remission in 2010 by running the Ironman Canada. No small feat, just a regular Thursday for all of us. Sure. Influential speaker, clearly a seasoned entrepreneur, podcaster, sales coach, philanthropist, new giver backer to the young adult cancer movement through My Hometown Heroes. What is the website people can visit?
myhometownheroes.org.
Straightforward right there. And first-time CancerCon attendee, hopefully not the last time CancerCon attendee. And I'm going to just crown you the Stupid Cancer King of Reno so we can build some community there with you.
Let's make it happen.
Good stuff. Danny, thank you for joining us, and Godspeed.
Pleasure, man. Thanks, Matt.
All right. All right, now it's time for our closing sequence.
Prepare to activate.
I hear there's rumors on the internets.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
And so, to all of you, a fond farewell.
Hooray, I'm helping.
You are a meathead. Oh, Magoo, you've done it again.
That was so terrible, I think you gave me cancer.
Okay, folks, that's our show, the 384th episode of The Stupid Cancer Show. Never miss an episode by subscribing to the podcast on iTunes and following us on SoundCloud.
I'd like to thank our guests, Bryan Walker and Danny Heinsohn, for joining us. Broadcasting since 2007, the Stupid Cancer Show is a production of Stupid Cancer, the largest charity comprehensively addressing young adult cancer, online at stupidcancer.org. Coming to you from the chemo deck, and on behalf of my team here at the Stupid Cancer Show, we hope you had as much fun as we did poking a stick at Stupid Cancer. Thank you for listening, and we will see you back here on the next exciting podcast of the Stupid Cancer Show. Goodbye, folks.